Today is January 22nd. It's the 22nd day of the year, and this is the On This Day podcast. On this day in 1984, the Redskins are playing the Raiders in Super Bowl 18. The game is airing live on CBS. It's the third quarter, and CBS cuts away from the game to a commercial break. It's at this point that a paradigm shift occurs. From this point forward, neither the Super Bowl, the advertising industry, nor the entire personal computer industry will ever be the same again. Not after a commercial introducing the new Apple Macintosh, an ad entitled 1984, airs on this day in 1984. The 1984 ad is set in a dystopian future, lines of people with shaved heads and dressed in drab gray marching mindlessly through tunnels, staring vacantly at a large screen, showing a close-up of a man with thick glasses, a Big Brother-like figure reciting a speech on the unification of thoughts. Amidst this dreary backdrop comes a runner, a blonde woman in orange shorts. She carries a hammer and is chased by the thought police. She hurls the hammer at Big Brother, shattering the screen, and the ad ends with the text on screen and voice of God narrator reading, quote, "On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh, and you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984. The ad is groundbreaking at the time, and it's still considered to this day by many to be the greatest Super Bowl ad of all time. Possibly one of the all-time greatest ads, period. And it only runs once, on national television. The commercial is conceived by the advertising firm Chiat Day as a nod to George Orwell's novel 1984, and it's directed by Ridley Scott, who has only directed 3 feature films by the time he signs on to direct the commercial. But 2 of those films lay the foundation for all modern sci-fi films, Alien and Blade Runner. And he has a long track record directing commercials as well. Chiat Day hires Scott to turn their concept into a visual reality. Steve Jobs has given Chiat Day a 6-word directive, quote, "Stop the world in its tracks." It's the dawn of the information age, and the way Steve Jobs sees it, IBM is Big Brother, a company that dominates the computer market. If allowed to go unchallenged, Big Brother IBM will dominate and control the entire information age. And the Apple Macintosh is civilization's last chance to destroy the Orwellian industry leader IBM before it achieves total world domination. That being said, Chiat Day had previously pitched the 1984 concept to a few other companies for a variety of products, including to Apple for the launch of the Apple II. But no one was interested in the idea until Steve Jobs hears the pitch in 1983, while he plans the introduction of his latest brainchild, the Macintosh. And Chiat Day targets the Super Bowl for the ad's premiere, securing 2 spots for the big day. With the concept approved, Ridley Scott films the ad in England, casting an athlete, a discus thrower named Anya Major, in the role of the hammer-tossing heroine, and he hires a few hundred skinheads to play the parts of the gray drones under the control of Big Brother. Steve Jobs loves the finished ad, but the Apple board of directors hates it, and Apple CEO John Sculley gets cold feet. He tells Chiat Day to get rid of the Super Bowl spots secured for the 1984 ad and keep only the 30-second spots they'd purchased for product demos. The ad agency finds buyers for some of the time, but they drag their feet on one 60-second spot until it's too late, forcing Apple's hand to run the spot or lose the chunk of change already paid to CBS. The 1984 ad runs in the third quarter of the Super Bowl on this day in 1984. It is the first and only time the commercial airs on national TV as a paid spot. The only other time the ad runs is 3 weeks earlier when it airs locally in Twin Falls, Idaho in the last possible commercial break before midnight on December 31st, 1983, in order for the ad to be eligible for that year's advertising awards. But those aren't the only 2 times the ad is seen by the public. The Macintosh that is released 2 days after the 1984 ad airs has a graphical user interface and a mouse, and it's a fantastic machine, a great leap forward in personal computing. But the product is nowhere to be seen in the commercial. There's no glamour shot of the Macintosh, there's no pitch about its selling points. The 1984 ad is about the meaning of the product, what the Macintosh means to the computer industry, what the Macintosh means to the computer user. It is such a startling contrast to all other TV advertising at the time. It's run over and over again on news broadcasts and talked about at length. It's estimated Apple gets about $150 million worth of free advertising from all the publicity, and Apple sells $150 million worth of Macintosh computers in just the first 3 months after the 1984 ad runs on this day. It's exceptionally effective advertising. And the ad ushers in the era of the Super Bowl ad as event advertising. And the 1984 ad that airs on this day in 1984 signals the beginning of the Mac revolution of personal computing. It's the prelude to the innovations of the second Steve Jobs era, the iMac, the iPod, the iPad, the iPhone, and iTunes. There are 343 days left in the year. On This Day is produced by me, Dave Schultz. Thank you very much for listening. If you're listening to the show through Apple products, please go over to iTunes and leave a rating and review of the show there. There are already a few dozen awesome reviews of the show over there at iTunes, and I'd love to get some more. I'd love to double the number of reviews we've got there right now. So if you're an iTunes user, go ahead and look up the show, leave a rating, leave a review, and know that I greatly appreciate you and everything you do. So if you're still listening, 5 stars, please. Talk to you tomorrow.